And a very good evening to you and welcome to Politics 101. David Hines here on a midweek Wednesday edition of Politics 101. This evening, we of course continue our conversation. Whether you're joining us from Guyana, you're joining us from the United States, Europe, our Caribbean, welcome down to Politics 101. Just do what we have to do to alert everyone that the program is on. We're going to be talking tonight about the current political situation. Our guests are Pastor Nigel London, and we expect Kiraki Amsterdam to join us to give us an update on his appearance in court today. And we are expecting another guest, Mr. Keith Branch, executive member of the Working People's Alliance. So please share the link and welcome to Politics 101 as we come on the air today. There is this report that the World Bank has updated Guyana's profile, and the World Bank, of course, is reporting that although Guyana is showing that there is growth in our economy, they, however, are reporting that 48% of Guyanese are earning less than $5.50 per day. And they peg the poverty rate at around 48%. Now, we have an economy that is growing between 15 and 19%. But here we have poverty rate. The poverty rate is 48%. That's startling. That's startling by any stretch of the imagination. As the economists would say, you're having growth without development. Growth without development. The World Bank in its updated sheet on Guyana said that Guyana's national poverty headcount, the share of the population living below $5.50 per day, is among the highest in the Latin and Caribbean region, and it's around 48%. So 48% of the working people in Guyana, 48% are earning less than $1,000 per day. $5, that's $1,000. Half a US dollar is $100, so that's $1,100. So this is the World Bank is reporting. 48%, almost half of working people, half of the people working in Guyana are earning less than 1,100 Guyanese dollars. It means, therefore, poverty is going to be very high. The World Bank is saying poverty rates are highest in the sparsely populated interior districts and with communities with limited access to economic opportunities, healthcare, and public service. The country also experiences high immigration and brain drain with 39% of all Guyanese citizens currently residing abroad, and roughly half of all Guyanese with tertiary education having immigrated to the United States. This is the World Bank. It's the World Bank. Welcome to Politics 101. Grim news for us Guyanese. Welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to Politics 101. This is the World Bank. This is not David Hines. This is not the opposition. It is the World Bank is saying that 48% of the working people in Guyana are earning less than $1,100, and that's Guyanese dollars. And this is happening while the government is boasting, and correctly so, that the economy is growing, and the economy is growing as a result of oil revenues coming in. The economy is growing. But if half of your working people are earning less than $1,100, mean that something is wrong with the distribution of that growth. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. The GDP is estimated to increase by 19.9% in 2021. The GDP, gross domestic growth, has increased by 20% in 2021. But yet, the working people are earning, half of them are earning less than $1,100. $1,100 represents a negative growth in the income of the working people. So the economy is showing a positive growth. But the working people, 48%, their income is showing a negative growth. Where is the money going? Where's the money going? There is no growth in the income and the living condition of the people of Guyana. Half of them, 48%, the World Bank is saying. I'm not an economist. Don't know all the economic ins and outs, but I got common sense, and you all got common sense. The gross domestic product, when you add up all the goods and services, it grew by 20%. This is what the World Bank is saying. But yet, half of the population earning less than $1,100. If the poverty rate in Guyana, I don't know what the poverty level is, but one would imagine that if you're earning less than $1,100 a day, you fall below the poverty line. You fall below the poverty line. And the government is boasting every day, oh, what a good life we're having in Guyana. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Please share the link Let everyone know Politics 101 is on. We have Brother Nigel London and Brother Keith Branch as our guest tonight. Kidaki Amsterdam will join us to give us an update on what happened in court today. I think Brother Amsterdam is with us. Let me bring him in right away. Good evening, Kidaki.
Good evening, Dr. Hines.
Please, if you can tell us what happened in court today.
I must tell you, you have a nice shirt there, man, and you're very anxious. You're stumbling over your words. What happened in court today? Yes, I went to court today. I appeared in court 3, presided over by Magistrate Shardell Isaacs. I understand that's the daughter of Clerk of the National Assembly, Shardell Isaacs. Nevertheless, I was charged. A charge was read to me that said that alleges that I used a noisy instrument contrary to Section 12 of the Public Order Act. Of course, I pled not guilty, and I was placed on $20,000 cash bail to return to court on November 30th.
And the charge was that you were using a noisy instrument? What exactly the charge was?
Just that, using a noisy instrument contrary to Section 12 of
right.
the Public Order Act. Well, if you would like, Section 12 of the Public Order Act basically says that anyone who partakes in a public meeting or procession and uses a noisy instrument without permission is guilty of a crime.
No, you're right. And I said last night on this program that I have been on the road protesting since Noah was a scout. That's a long time ago. That's way back in 1976. I remember coming down to Georgetown for the first time to protest when Brother U.C. Guyana was charged for illegally publishing Day Clean. And I remember the youngest protester then was a U.C. Guyana's 3 or 4-year-old son, Kofi. And we still have Kofi saying free U.C. Guyana. We still have a photograph of him. But that was my first protest in Georgetown. As a teenager, I think I just left school or was in 5th form or thereabout. And so from 76 to now, I've been doing this thing now for 46 years. And we have always used the bullhorns. In fact, I have asked police permission not so long ago. You will remember if I can use a bullhorn and police permission to use a bullhorn not so long ago. It meant that even in the dark days, even in the days of dark repression, nobody charged anybody for using bullhorns. And so therefore, apparently the fact that the bullhorn is now classified as a noisy instrument is a very new development. I thought I was crazy. So I checked with Brother UC today, and he took me back long before 1976, because he is now 97 years old, and he been doing this from 1940. So he been doing it for 80-something years. And he says that he cannot remember ever, not during the colonial times, not under the Burnham or Jagan regimes, that a bullhorn was classified as a noisy instrument. Comment?
Okay. I said it last evening, and I said, because at that time I was the opinion that I was being charged with noise nuisance, according to them. That I couldn't be charged with noise nuisance because it can be loud and continuous when it depends on my voice. That's number one. Number two, Section 12, like I said, says if you partake in a political in a meeting or procession I was not involved in a meeting nor a procession. So again, that's frivolous, quite frankly, and it's a nuisance charge. They just want to waste people time and intimidate people, and I will maintain that. I want to see them make that case in court. I don't want to try the case here.
Stop it for me. They're not wasting your time. They are acknowledging the effect of what you are doing.
Very well.
When you're in protest, let veteran talk to you. These are serious matters. They're not wasting your time. They're not even wasting their time. They are responding in a vicious and authoritarian way to protest. The right to protest is being challenged. Continue now.
Yes, so I am saying, listen, as they say, I'm the happiest man alive.
No, you can't be the happiest man alive. You are the most militant man alive. Protest don't get happiness.
Listen, I get joy out of people's discomfort, if you want to see that. So
well, you're not dealing with the people, you're dealing with the state.
Well, sometimes
I'm trying to take you to a level of seriousness.
I understand.
It's a serious development. It's a serious development, right? It's a very serious development. And I know you may be uncomfortable talking about yourself. So that is that I don't want to talk about you, but to talk about the development.
Yes, it is serious because it puts on show the state's repressiveness. It puts on show the viciousness with which the state will react to those of us who are pointing out and putting the state operatives on show with their maliciousness and their vindictiveness and the apartheid-like behavior and all of that. So yes, it is a serious matter. And listen, I've been saying to people, for me, it's a serious matter. This case means a whole lot to me because based on the ruling of the magistrate, political activists and social activists and so on will get a definitive position as to what they can and cannot do on a picket line with a bullhorn. And so that is I take that very, very serious. And that is why like I said, I'm quite happy that they chose to charge me. Let's go and settle this thing once and for all. Whether or not I need the police permission, or the police is just being vindictive. And like I keep saying, taking political orders.
Taking political order. Kidaki Amsterdam charged for using a bullhorn in a demonstration appeared in court today, put on $20,000 bail. We'll go back to court at the end of this month. We will keep this case in the front burner because it's a very important development. Kidaki, anything else you want to share with us before you go?
Yes, I want to note that they sent out their bigwig today to prosecute that matter. Because when the jacket was read, based on the reading of the magistrate, the matter was supposed to be prosecuted, I think, by a corporal or lance corporal. An inspector was sent, Chapman, right? S. Chapman, I don't know what S is for, but I'm not too sure what the ranks, but he was wearing khaki. My assumption is that he's either inspector or ASP, right? And so, like we say, they're not taking it lightly, they're taking it seriously. They bring out their big guns to try to prosecute this matter. And I see it as a serious matter. I see it as important for those of us who are usually in the protest line. But like I said today to Duncan, the question was asked whether or not that will take me off of the protest line. No, it will not take me off of the protest line. I remain adamant that it is my right to protest. And give me a bullhorn tomorrow, I'm prepared to use it. Because I'm of the firm opinion I have not breached any law by the use of the bullhorn. And therefore, when I go on a protest line, I reserve the right to use the bullhorn. Until this matter is concluded, if the magistrate say, well, yes, you were guilty, then I perhaps will accept. But up until then, I am prepared to go on protest, continue to protest, and use the bullhorn.
Kedaki Amsterdam there commenting on the charge against him. My brother, we'll keep this case in the front line, and from time to time we'll have you back to give us updates. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
And now we continue our conversation with our two guests, Mr. Keith Branch, who's an executive member of the Working People's Alliance, veteran, not well known, but did a lot of youth work, especially with the church, way back, stretching way back into the 70s. And he's a keen observer of what's going on, making his maiden appearance on Politics 101 tonight. And our own Nigel London, who has been here many times. Let's bring on Brother Nigel. Good evening.
Greetings and hello to all of those who are joining us, as well as Mr. Branch. I'm certainly honored to be at this moment with you all.
Mr. Branch, good evening.
Thanks, David. Good evening to you. Good evening, Brother Nigel. I am elated to be on Politics 101.
Right, a strong supporter of Politics 101 and a colleague of mine in the executive of the Working People's Alliance. Keith, I'll give you the new ball. Any thoughts on the Kedaki Amsterdam charge of using a bullhorn contrary to statutory law?
Absolutely. First, I would want to declare unequivocally that Brother Kedaki Amsterdam has my support. The work that he's doing to draw attention to the behavior of the chairwoman of GCOM and the fact that this voters list is bloated and out of date is a significant work, and therefore he has my support and the support of the Working People's Alliance.
Brother Nigel?
Thank you. I'm certainly perturbed by the development, and there's another matter that's brought to my attention regarding the same noise nuisance charge, and I would certainly be guided by the fact that I have a degree in environmental sciences, and the EPA, they deal with noise nuisance and noise pollution, as they call it. So the first question has to be asked of the Guyana Police Force is, at what decibel level was Kedaki Amsterdam's bullhorn functioning? You cannot have a charge for making noise without, and in this day and age, saying he was beyond the legal level in reference to decibels. It is crazy that these policemen are just doing things nowadays, forgetting that there are laws that guide us all. From the time you mentioned the term noise in Guyana, now you have to go down the path of decibel level, which has to come under the purview of the Environmental Protection Agency, because you have to have an instrument to measure it. So with all of that being absent, the question then becomes, why would members of the force be so keen on arresting Mr. Amsterdam? And I'm happy that you saw Dr. Hines to have a degree of focus here in reference to the seriousness of this matter. This is not to be taken in any way lightly, because there are many activists who have cause to stand against things publicly. And if it is going to be deemed illegal to use an instrument such as simple as a bullhorn, and with him being such a far distance away from the GCOM headquarters, it tells me quite a bit. And so Guyanese need to be awake and alert as to what's happening around them. And we must be concerned that this can happen to any one of us at any time. Hence, our cry should be loud.
And I can't agree with you more, Nigel, because there's a reason that a public address system is deemed a noisy instrument, because it's amplified. It's thing. A bullhorn, there is a range to which the sound from the bullhorn can go. And I have used bullhorn up to last year. And I made sure, because I didn't want to make the police uncomfortable, and they said no. And all of a sudden, this same police force is now charging Kedaki Amsterdam with using a bullhorn. And I'm saying that if the repression starts seemingly small, and then it moves to another level. Let me take you on to another issue.
You know, I just want to say, David, if I can interject?
Yes, you can, Keith.
In your introduction, when you were introducing me, you mentioned the fact that I was involved in youth work. You know, I worked with the Diocese of Guyana for a number of years, and we regularly had youth activities throughout the country, and especially in Georgetown, because of the traffic situation, we would always use bullhorns to regulate the processions. So if we are having like a Youth Sunday activity, or if there was a Lenten festival or something like that, and you had 200 or 300 young people walking down the street, you would use a bullhorn. Now, whenever that occasion occurred, I would have applied for permission for the procession.
That's right.
You had to submit a route for the procession, but never for the bullhorn. So this is a first, and you're right, this is absolutely a first.
Yes.
You know, and this goes way back to 1978, 79.
Yeah.
So this is harassment. The fact that they're arrested and charging Brother Kadaki for using a bullhorn, taking into consideration what Brother Nigel London said. The fact is that his protest outside of GCOM is making an impact. The regime is fearful, and they decided that maybe this is the time to try to begin to intimidate him so they can put an end to it.
Yes. And I remember, back in the 70s, at the height of the repression under the government of that day, when they didn't give us permission for meetings, I remember Walter Rodney using a bullhorn. Sometimes when we didn't have the bullhorn, he would take cardboard and make a bullhorn. We used that because we were not given permission to use a noisy instrument.
Absolutely. I can remember Walter with a rolled up cardboard at Boredom Hall. Yes.
Yes. Brothers, let's move on to another worrying development. The young lawyer from Brother Nigel Hughes's chamber, a female, instructing her client allegedly not to give a statement to the police. And she was arrested. I repeat, a young lawyer advising her client not to give a statement was arrested. That's one. Two, the Attorney General then says that I called the police and instructed the police to release her. There are two things there. A lawyer now can't instruct or advise the client. That's a crime. And the second thing, the Attorney General, who is a partisan official, can call the police and tell the police who to release. The logic for me is that this partisan Attorney General can, by logic, call the police and tell the police who to arrest. Serious development, my brothers. Kid Branch, take that one on.
Yes, it's a very serious development. Two things. First, I don't think that the young lawyer was with the Hughes Chambers. I think
she's with Hughes Chambers.
Okay.
Yes. And I only say that because of who Nigel Hughes is. It doesn't matter which chamber she's from. It was wrong. I only throw in the Nigel Hughes chamber to make connection because of his role in our national and political situation.
You know, the whole process, and first I want to address that when the young lady, the young lawyer, described having to go back and the policeman not there, and the policeman who took the statement is absent. It really brings us back to the bad the bad images of an inefficient and failed state. That you have to get a specific policeman who took the statement to be there before this person can give a statement and or be released. But the bigger issue to this is the one that you mentioned, that the fact that someone is waiting with his or her lawyer to make a statement, to be represented, and that lawyer advising under the Constitution of the Republic of Guyana, advising the client what action to take, and the lawyer is being arrested. This happened under the Pinochet regime. Under Pinochet regime, lawyers were afraid to go to the police station to represent the people who were arrested, because then they too were arrested for appearing, and there were trumped up charges brought against those lawyers because of this same issue. And I can tell you, because the World Council of Churches sent me to Chile, and I was kicked out of Chile because we went to the precinct to listen to these issues. They found that I had a Cuban visa in my passport, debated how I got into the country, and promptly sent me back to the airport. So this happened in Chile. This kind of behavior happened in Pinochet's Chile. Now it's happening in Guyana. And secondly, Mr. Nandalal. Mr. Nandalal, first, he made one statement saying that he called Mr. Karim Bash, I think is the name of the gentleman, and the in charge of Soku. And he spoke to Mr. Karim Bash and instructed Mr. Karim Bash to release the lawyer. Then he asked to speak to the policeman who was responsible for that case. And he further told that policeman to release the lawyer. Then he had a second video that he did, where he said he tried to explain that he called Mr. Karim Bash in his capacity as Attorney General, who was a chief advisor to the Guyana Police Force. Doesn't the Guyana Police Force has a legal department?
That's right. They have their own lawyer. He's a chief legal advisor to the cabinet.
The government.
That's right. The government, the partisan government. The government is partisan.
Yes.
And so he's a partisan official. The police has its own legal
lawyer.
Department. Yes. Let's bring in Brother Nigel here. Brother Nigel, your thoughts.
Thank you, and I'm grateful that we're having this discussion, because it's very, very pertinent and necessary. We should not, or I would not fail to present the fact that according to the report, the lawyer said that she was warned beforehand that should you return and not allow this client to do whatever it is, give the statement, you will be arrested, which is about 2 days or so prior. So this is constituting a threat made to this attorney. So it's not a case in which she, and that's just help those who may not be privy to the matter. She didn't just show up there and was arrested or detained. She was warned 2 or so days before that should you return and continue to disallow or encourage your client or advise the client to not issue a statement, which is within the realm of law, by the way, you will be arrested. So a threat was made, and I'm grateful that this attorney was not afraid of that threat. Hence, she maintained her posture, which is a legal one. With that in mind, we must see that which is now upon us in this nation. I have not heard of this happening, and I'm 48 years old. I'm yet to hear of this happening when an attorney has been giving advice that is lawful, and that must be interjected here, that is lawful and within the parameters of the Constitution. And that person is then arrested. Now, Nandalal comes into focus here. Or before Nandalal comes into focus, the lawyer also reported that when they got there, her client was told that the statement is ready for him to sign, when he never gave one, according to her. This is even more damning on the Guyana Police Force and Soku. How could there be a statement present for me to sign when I never gave one? How many other young men in our state and women would have not had the experience whereby they were made to sign things that they never said? This is one of the most dangerous situations we now have in our country, where the arm of law is being used to terrorize citizens and to distort that which is right. Now, Mr. Nandalal is the Attorney General appointed by the one who's paid to be president. He does not represent the opposition. He's the Attorney General, a minister as he would be called, in the PP Civic Administration. Therefore, he has no capacity, as far as I'm aware, no authority to instruct anybody in the Guyana Police Force. More, if you want to go deeper than this, into this, Robeson Ben happens to be the Minister of Home Affairs, is he not? He's responsible for the Guyana Police Force. How could Nandalal not call Ben and say to Ben, something is happening here at Soku that shouldn't be happening? Then Ben should reach out to Hicken, and Hicken should then take the matter in hand. Nandalal bypassed all of these people and went directly to an officer, according to his report, Nandalal's confession. And he said that this woman should be released. As you rightly said, Dr. Hines, I would like to know when an attorney general in this country was vested with that degree of authority to bypass the Minister of Home Affairs, bypass the commissioner, bypass every other high-ranking official in the Guyana Police Force, and speak directly to an officer to release anybody who has been detained. Guyanese, I beg you to be aware and to be alert. Nandalal cannot help himself on these circumstances because he felt in that statement he was making that he was doing something to just cause everyone to feel as though he's the good guy, and he is making the angelic projections and proclamations that he solved the problem. And he also said that he issued an apology to Attorney Clark. Apology? I didn't hear him say that these officers will be charged or they should be brought before some disciplinary committee to be dealt with severely. He didn't say that. So officers can be so disrespectful to people, including attorneys. And all that they get in reference to the Attorney General is nothing said to them apart from release the lady, and the attorney gets an apology. We are in a sad state.
Thank you very much, dear Brother London. And it is nothing short of paramountcy. Paramountcy of the party, paramountcy of these leaders. They feel they can do anything, that they are above the law. The rule of law means absolutely nothing to these people. And I want to draw attention to the fact that this is a young woman, she's a young professional, and this is how she's being treated as part of our profession. We remember the young policewoman who was spat upon and so on. This is the kind of treatment that is meted out to our young people. No wonder more than half of the Guyanese with tertiary education are out of Guyana. How can you boast that you are developing Guyana? How can you boast that Guyana is going places when basic things, a lawyer speaking to her client is considered criminal. How can you be talking about development when blackout continues? Past government can say, well, we've been having blackout because we do not have money to upgrade our power system. Now you have money and you're talking about development. We have more blackout now than we didn't have a lot of money. How can you boast of development when you can't even solve water problems? These are basic things that if you didn't have money yesterday and you have money today, that you ought to be able to solve, not at the economic level, not at the level of human rights. Are we moving forward as a nation? Branch, you have any other thoughts on the matter?
Yes, I was about to say that we omitted the director of public prosecution, Shimor Ali Haq. She is the person who determines what cases are going to go to court and what cases are not going to go to court. And as a result, she has some influence, some direct, her office has some direct communication with the Guyana police force. And it would have been her, in her purview, to call the Soku and say to them, you cannot arrest this woman. It is a violation of the Constitution. But nobody, it seems, included her in the discourse. And this is a pattern, one we all assume from the behavior of Mrs. Ali Haq, that she is a political appointee carrying out a political job. The fact that she could intervene in the charges brought by Nigel Hughes on behalf of his client, Mr. Boston, against Mr. Blanham. She could intervene even before the case meets a magistrate and have that case thrown out. Shows you directly that she is under some political direction. Then the issue of the magistrate who had her prosecutors sat in the bench for a few minutes because on 3 or 4 occasions he promised to bring evidence to the court and didn't bring that evidence, and it's to me that's the least that could have been done, because in many other courts on the second occasion and he didn't show up with that evidence, the case was going to be dismissed.
Pete Branch there, Working People's Alliance executive member, appearing. Brother Nigel, go right ahead.
Please. I'm not defending Ali Haq in any way because she's one of the worst people in Ghana as far as I'm concerned. However, reference to what Brother Branch has been saying, she gives advice when it's sought more often than not. There has to be a file presented to her or charges against this attorney if that would have been the case, and then she advises as to whether it should go to court. So in this situation, there was no charge laid against the attorney. Hence, Ali Haq could not have necessarily been brought into the fore yet, which is why I'm saying that at least Commissioner Hicken, who has direct authority or jurisdiction over all members of the police force, should have been called by Robeson Ben, who's the subject minister. If they said, well, we're still going to charge this lady, then Ali Haq could have said, no, we are not going to institute a charge because there's none that's warranted. Would it suffice, or would it have been good for her to thereafter issue a statement that the attorney should not have been treated in this way because that is not how a member of the bar should be treated? That would have been, in my view, an excellent statement coming from her chambers. But this woman, I have been calling for her removal since with Granger. Ali Haq is a threat to the judicial well-being of Guyanese. Her actions speak for themselves, and she should have no part to play in determining what matters proceed to the court or not. Because even when she's advised by judges that people should stand trial, she still discontinued cases against them. That's the kind of person we're dealing with.
Yeah. Brother Nigel London there, giving his views on the tenure of the Director of Public Prosecution, Brother Julius. I do agree with you that this all started when Christopher Jones was arrested and when the police disobeyed an order from a judge. It started then, more than 2 years ago. And that is why we have to take these things seriously, because dictatorships are not to be measured when a government becomes a full-fledged autocracy. Dictatorship is a process. And often you only realize a dictatorship when it becomes embedded. And we are saying here that we have had this dictatorship being put in place over a period of time. When we said that it's an emerging apartheid regime, not crazy. We are seeing an emerging, and have been seeing, an emerging police state, which is often at the center of an authoritarian regime. We have to be vigilant. Brothers, you all heard my introduction, the World Bank report, which is saying that 48% of our working people are earning less than 1,100 Guyanese dollars per day in a country where the GDP has grown by 20%. None of us here is an economist, but certainly that is, to me, straightforward evidence that all is not well in our country economically. Nigel, I'll let you go first on that one.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. All is not well, and I've been saying this and will continue to say it even at this forum. There is no impact on the average Guyanese in reference to the benefits from what they call oil money. And that is because we have an elitist mentality at the helm of our nation. These people have no interest in empowering Guyanese economically. And that is why they can, without any shame, say that things are well. The economy is booming based on what? Infrastructural work. That is not being given to people who are up-and-coming contractors who can be guided by or supervised by those who are superior to them. No. You can see that the works are being done by a particular group of people. And when there is an outcry, when there is an issue, the remedy seems to be we will give the Guyanese people, some of them, depending on where they are located, some money. And once they have these little handouts, then things go back to normal. But the situation continues to expose the nature of those who are leading this nation, and they have no intention of doing better because they cannot do better. An elitist who functions by classism can never look to a man who is poor and genuinely say, I will drag you out or pull you up out of the situation and make you better. Because once they do that, the man sees no need for them any longer. And that is what we have before us here. And so when the World Bank would have issued what I consider to be a highly impactful statement regarding the reality of Guyana's economy, I was not surprised by it. I was actually angered to see that there are people out there who are monitoring our situation, recognizing that Guyanese are suffering tremendously under this regime. We are seeing, like along the East Bank, if you come, one day you should come to Linden to see Dr. Hines, land is being cleared, massive plots of lands are being cleared along the highway. It is not owned by Lindeners and is being done under the guise of development. But yet, this community remains repressed in reference to economic development for people. So what would you find happening here? They would come to Linden, for example, and they'll do road work in Linden because they know that a contractor or two will benefit from the road work being done, And it will never get to a man who lives, let's say, in Kansas City or in the valley somewhere, who has a family to feed and he cannot really take care of his family. They would not implement strategies in Linden to help persons to rid themselves of this weight called poverty. They would not do it because they know that $10 or $50 million can get into the pocket of someone and it would not reach the average Lindener. And it happens all across this country. We are in trouble.
We are in trouble. Brother Keith, your reaction to the World Bank report?
Yes, Brother London said, road work is the new sepulcher. It's where the money goes with no bottom. So when you run out of road work, you create a new racing circuit so that you can continue to build roads.
And you create an accident on the bridge where you can pay out $1 billion.
$1 billion, yes. So there's no electricity, as you pointed out earlier. Sometimes we have Zoom meetings and the meetings have to be adjourned because half of the people who are in Guyana don't have electricity. It just gone like that, and I assume that businesses also who have the similar kind of Zoom meetings lose millions of dollars because they can't discuss with their partners overseas. The power is gone. But we're getting a new racetrack so that Team Mohammed and so on, Team Jack Mohan can race the Lamborghinis round in circles. But coming back to the issue of the World Bank report, Guyana has the oil has been discovered in Guyana. 3 or 4 billion barrels of oil. The government of Guyana has in the national the National Resource Fund over $1 billion US. And yet the poverty index of the people in Guyana is lower than it was 5 years ago.
There you go.
When all we had was rice, struggling sugar, and some bauxite and little gold. The poverty today is lower. $1,100 a day in income is way below poverty. One of the journalists in Guyana has a thing he does every morning on his page, asking what fretting you today, and people started talking about prices. $700 for a pound of beef. Don't talk about pork. Pork used to be like the cheap meat.
Hold. $700 a pound.
Yes.
For beef.
A pound. Yes.
A pound. Yeah. I'm doing some maths here. So if you buy a pound of beef for your family to cook today, and then you buy rice, and then you buy some greens, then $1,100 you're working for or less, gone just in meals.
Yes.
How you paying your rent?
Yes.
How you paying transportation to go to the market or wherever you got to go to buy this food? And Professor Thomas had done a study in which he said, the IDB had done a study that Professor Thomas cited showing that often people in Guyana may have money for food, but they can't find the money to pay the transportation to go to the market to buy the food. And that same study found that people did not have money to buy deodorant. So there you have put the thing in perspective. $100 pound for beef. If you feel like eating a beef stew or a beef curry today, £1, And you get a family of 5. You also 1 pound of beef for a family of 5.
Beef shrinks, right?
That's right. So you can't even get a proper meal on what you're earning per day.
Yes, it is impossible.
I want you all to listen carefully here, because a lot of times, some of you all may think that we are too hard on this government. But the evidence is there. Continue, my brother.
Yes, but what was remarkable about that is that the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana chose to respond to that journalist and send him a picture of a price tag outside a butchery in someplace on the west coast of Demerara, somebody halal place, and it had beef at $300 a pound. Well, nobody else out of the nearly 2,000 people that responded to that question, none of them saw beef in any of their neighborhoods at $300 a pound.
Never. As you were about to say, pork, which is used to be the cheap meat.
Yes, pork used to be the cheap meat.
Is a Mr. Pork.
Yes.
Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
As we would say.
Yes. And so you, as you already said, the average working person in Guyana cannot afford at $1,100 a day to eat. They cannot afford to eat decently. If you buy a pound of boar, I thought I saw it 2 pounds for $3 to 2 pounds for $300. 1 pound for $169.
Yes.
1 pound $169. 2 pounds for $300. So your daily income could buy 1 pound of beef and 2 pounds of okra.
2 pounds of okra. Yeah.
And you finish with the day. You walk into the market to get the beef and okra, and then you're walking back home.
And then you're walking back.
No rice, no detergent to wash your sweaty clothes, nothing. That's it. And this government here is walking around telling people how well off the Guyanese have it. Look, we have a new road to Mandela Avenue. We have a new road. They're going to cut a new road at the Del Conte Road there. They're going to pave that. They're going to put a new road here and so on. But the people who are going to build these roads are hungry.
Before I bring you in, again, Brother Nigel, Brother Ali Majid, WPA member, and a keen observer. He says that the Guyana Police Force has its own legal advisor, Mandel Moore, who was ordered detained by the magistrate. So it's Mr. Moore who has to advise the police force, not Anil Nandlal. He's overreaching.
Yes.
And intentionally so, because he's a bright lawyer and he should know what is the law.
In any other country, Nandalal will be made to resign immediately.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted us to reiterate, for the sake of those who may have just joined or may have missed the point, the percentage of the working force in Guyana is paid an average, 48%, is paid an average of $5.50 per day, which is about $1,100 per day. Let's not miss that. It is not 10% or 5%. Think of the entire workforce in this country, and by estimation, 48% out of every 100 individuals, 48 of them is earning $1,100 per day. They have children to deal with. They have children to go to school in many instances. Some of them have to travel to work. They don't work from home. We don't have that liberty in many cases in this country. So if you've got a working population, and they are at 48% of them, they are unable to function, even at a middle class. Is the country not in serious economic trouble? Let us consider the fact that in Georgetown, where the majority, region 4, where the majority of the population would reside, we have got a deliberate effort to expel Guyanese from certain neighborhoods by the rate at which they charge for housing. When you have got a 2-bedroom apartment going for $3,000 or $5,000 US dollars per month, at $1,100 per day, I cannot even think about doing that. When you have a house being offered for $20, $30, $40, $50, $60 million, depending on the neighborhood in which it's from. And others, of course, one by the seawall will be about $200 million. I saw one for the other day. So what they're doing to us is to say, listen, don't even entertain the thought of coming in this neighborhood. And then the expatriates are showing up, and the drug runners are showing up, and those who are washing their money around the country are showing up, and they're living in these elitist societies, pushing out Guyanese, who are clapping their hands to say, well, at least we support Irfan. Irfan is doing a good job. A good job at doing what?
Yes, yes, yes. And you know, when the Kaitro News ran that editorial last year in June, saying that Guyana is an apartheid state, yes, the Kaitro News 4 said it, not Coffee 250. They were making the same point that you are making there, Brother London. In the United States, it's called Whitopia. A guy wrote a whole book on it. Both of you would be familiar, where they make sure, if they want to keep a community really white, they make sure that amenities that people of color, Black people need, 15 miles away, 20 miles away, to make sure the price of real estate is so high that most people of color can't afford. But even if you could afford it, in order to go to the barber that will cut Black people here, or for the ladies to go where they can, it's 20 miles away. And that's how you construct an apartheid situation. Very important observation, Brother Nigel London. Tonight, we are talking about recent developments, and not so many of you came out and stayed with us because we've got to keep the momentum going on this program. And while I'm at it, I want to thank all of you who have contributed to this program and to other programs also. We do not come to you very often because we understand people's economic situation, and we don't want to appear as though we are backing our people. But I want to thank those of you who have contributed to this program. And I want to say to those of you who have not yet contributed, we do accept contributions of one sort or the other to keep our program going. Gentlemen, we are almost there. Closing thoughts, starting with you, Brother Keith Branch.
Yes, I want to thank you, David, for having me on the program. And I want to say in closing two things. One, Brother Clive Thomas and in the Buxton proposal proposed that from the oil revenue, 10% be set aside, and each household be given $5,000 US to bring themselves out of poverty. This World Bank report shows how important that is. When the PPP came into office 2 years ago, they said that they would not be able they would not have enough funds or enough money in the fund until about 2030 to do that, because they anticipate that by then they would have like $500 million. Well, they have well over $1 billion, 2 years, $1 billion US dollars. I want to be clear. They have well over $1 billion US dollars 2 years into the administration. They can afford to give each household in Guyana $5,000 US dollars to bring them out of poverty. Excellent. And I want to every Guyanese to repeat that to wherever they could make that the clarion call. We want our money. Now, the PPP is behaving as if this oil money is their money to dole out however they want to. This oil money is our money for us and our children.
Keith Branch there.
We want our $5,000 so that we don't have to buy a pound of beef and 2 pounds of okra to live with our 5 children.
To live with our 5 children. Keith Branch there, member of the Working People's Alliance, laying it out and reminding of the Buxton proposal on cash transfer. Brother Nigel London, you have the last word.
Thank you, and thanks to you, Dr. Hines, and to Mr. Branch for having or sharing this moment with me. My word would be to every Guyanese that you should not look at the result you get when you speak to determine whether you should. However, you should speak nonetheless. Because persons are becoming a bit more quiet since they're saying that it doesn't matter what you say, Jagdi would not resign, Nandala would not go anywhere. So in essence, just leave it alone. Do not leave it alone. Do not look for the result that you get. Pay attention to the fact that you spoke, so there can be a record in your legacy that you did not sit quietly by and allow your country to be ruined by those who do not see the need to defend the cause of the poor and the needy. Further, I say that the opposition must make every effort to be a lot more active and far more definitive and strong in their response to these things that occur. For example, if an attorney is going to be arrested or detained, as she would have been, there should be a significant action taken, because this shows that if those who defend us in the court of law cannot be respected and to some extent honored by the administration, then it's just a matter of time before it creeps into the halls of every Guyanese. And we must not have that happen to us. So I call on every Guyanese with interest in this nation to stand against that which you know is unhealthy. Finally, I say that those of us who take the time to speak very often on matters of interest to Guyanese, we should not grow weary, because at some day and at some point, that which we do shall greatly be rewarded. I believe with all of my heart. Thanks to you again, Dr. Hines and Mr. Branch.
Words of wisdom there from our brother Nigel London, always saying it as succinctly and as eloquently and capturing the essence of the moment. Brother Keith Branch joined us tonight for the first time, and he has fallen into our groove immediately. That is, on this program, we don't play around. On this program, we are serious discussion, serious analysis, but we are about mobilizing our people and keeping our people informed. Brothers, thank you all very much, and I will see you all soon. And to you, our wonderful audience, you all know that we love you. I love you. You love yourself. Love your neighbor, but love yourself first, because your love for your neighbor would not have the kind of quality if you don't love yourself. Don't mind those who may call you racist. Don't mind those who may call you all kinds of names. They fear your love. They fear your love. And my chant for this week, as usual, is, did my people before me slave for this country? Did my people before me slave for this country? And I plant the corn, and I build a cabin. Now you look me in my face and want to eat out all my corn, but we are not going to allow them. Never, never. See you all tomorrow night. See you all tomorrow night. Lincoln Lewis is going to be on, and some other friends. So we're going to keep it at a certain pitch, with or without the bullhorn. Good night.